And then we start from where? Great. So welcome everybody to our DueDash Cologne pitching powwow. Very excited to have you all today with us here. And before we go into the pitching powwow, what this is all about, I just want to kind of briefly give you a quick introduction on DueDash, and from DueDash, how we came to this whole format of pitching powwow. Now, first, who we are, what we're doing. So with DueDash, we first thought there is a big challenge at the moment for most startups, and that is the access to capital and investors. Actually, less than 1% of startups ever raise any funding. And if you think about this fact, like you just needed to kind of bootstrap a company, go further, scale your business. How do you go about it? How do you overcome the challenge? How do you understand what investors want and actually get to the point of investability and raise funding? And that is why we started DueDash, to help founders with exactly that. So at the moment, we have a DueDash community to help you become investable and raise funding. We help you through free education, success stories from founders. We help you by giving you direct feedback, getting in front of the right experts, and also making sure that investors know who you are through our global community and events. And this is what we already do with our community right now. But this is not the end. So when it comes to the community, on the one hand, you can also find other team members, share what you're doing with your startup, validate your business idea, join events such as these. You can get free pitch deck and investment readiness feedback from us. As well, we already started working with startups in depth on preparing them for investors, working on who are right investors to target and help them for outreach and going after the investors, supporting you through that whole process. This is what we're doing right now. In the long term, we are building a digital platform to help you through all steps of a fundraising journey. But we're already kind of working to enable you to get in front of investors and become investable. And we will share definitely in the next months more on our upcoming product roadmap. Before we dive into the pitching powwow, if you want to learn more about DueDash, you can just check out our site. You can reach out to me or any local city leader which we have around the globe. Now, with that quick introduction on DueDash, let's dive right into the event. First, what does powwow even mean? So powwow, or modern powwow, is a specific type of event coming from the Native American community, where you kind of meet, exchange, and honor the culture. We thought about taking the culture of startups, of pitching, and putting this into this powwow event format. So making this a nice, relaxed gathering where you can get in front of business angels, real investors, and get feedback from them, exchange, understand, how it comes, because that is the way to actually get to investments and also learn from that. And what is the goal for the pitching powwow event? That you get a wow. So the business angels, investors here, they will rate you, of course, at the end of the session. In addition of telling you who are the best startup, the second and the third best startup, each jury member can also give you a wow, kind of like the 5-star rating, which means basically we would like to have a follow-up meeting with you or introduce you to somebody in the network who might be a good fit for you when it comes from an investment standpoint. So that is your goal for today, to collect a wow. Now, for today's session, before we go into our jury members, I just wanted to quickly showcase in which order the startups will be pitching. So we have Dynamace, Adutabyte, Robidia, My Shoe Fitter, Dental Health, Dabliss, and lastly, Respawn. With that, I would say we give it over to Ton and Uwe to introduce themselves. I would say let's just start with Ton. Just a quick introduction from your side, and then we go to Uwe, and then afterwards to the startups. So just unmute yourself.
Audio, yes. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can hear you, Ton.
My name is Ton Steenwinkel. I'm a European citizen with a Dutch passport, living in Germany for many years. My business career has been in marketing, product management, sales, business development, and managing subsidiaries and large organizations in industries, mainly high tech, retail automation, telecommunications, software, engineering and financial services. At present, I have retired and I am member of a business angel club called, as you can see behind me, Angel Engine. And we are a club of 32 business angels, and we invest in startups which we like and have a good future. And that's why we're here. So I'm not a technical person. You will hear me make some critical remarks on some technical issues. I'm market, sales and marketing focused. Those are my real things. That's me. Living in Meerbusch, not very far from the forbidden city of Düsseldorf, in lockdown now. But
we will survive it. We will survive it, Ton. But yeah, Meerbusch is definitely a nice place to visit.
Yeah.
Then I would give it to you, Uwe.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, what about me? I'm more than 30 years in business, mostly on the edge between technology and pure commercial business. Long term, I worked for consultancy companies, so that's why I'm very attractive to the working market, because of the fact that I, let's say, have both passions on my side. I am an educated and long-term line manager, as well as I do a lot of consultancy and strategic work. And this enables me to, let's say, do a lot of transformation work, digitalization projects within the companies in the context of growth or performance improvement. Today I'm working since the end of 2019. I'm working for a subsidiary of Bosch in Bochum. The company name is eScript. eScript is the market leader in automotive cybersecurity applications worldwide, working for all OEMs and all tier 1 companies in the world. Of course, and I'm always interested in technology. I'm here today to really curious to find out about the business ideas and discuss this with Ton and you afterwards. Thank you and good luck.
Great, thank you, Ton. Sorry, Uwe. My mind, that's my mistake. So I would say let's dive right into the startups. We start with Dynamaze. I think that's you, Petur. So I will just allow you screen sharing. Yeah. So Petur, just you can share your screen.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
All right.
I would just give it like a second. I need to take the time. Yeah, and whenever you're ready, you can go.
All right. My name is Peter Müller, and I am one of 3 founders of the Cologne-based startup Dynamaze. We develop a B2B2C platform on which we sell vacancies of leisure providers such as spas, amusement parks, or events to end customers. Why are we doing this? Leisure providers have an extremely variable and overall low occupancy rate. They use just 35% of their capacities. Significantly higher profits can be made by increasing the occupancy rates. At the same time, many activities are simply too expensive for many people, and often it is not that easy to decide on an activity. Dynamaze solves the problems of both customer sides. By selling vacancies in off-peak hours through dynamic prices, we increase profits for providers. End customers save time and money every time they book through Dynamaze. The end customer selects the perfect activity up to 7 days in advance. They then decide on a starting time. The prices vary depending on current demand and current supply. Dynamic pricing ensures optimal capacity utilization for the provider. In the third step, they book and pay for the activity directly via Dynamaze and receive their ticket on the phone. They redeem it directly at the provider and can enjoy their activity. End customers save up to 60% of the original price when booking directly through Dynamaze. The saving depends on the supply and demand of the respective provider. Providers increase their profits by 5 to 40%, depending mainly on how many tickets we proportionally sell for them. Our pricing algorithm identifies supply and demand for each provider at each point in time, allowing for differentiated pricing in every situation. Therefore, our technology ensures optimized occupancy rates and prices. We work with highly exclusive partners from the leisure industry. Here we clearly distinguish ourselves from other platforms such as Groupon, which are not able to do that. There are several reasons for this. On one hand, our dynamic pricing enables optimal prices for each ticket sold. On the other hand, we work with concrete time slots, thus bringing customers to the providers exactly when they really need them. Overall, only with us, real optimization of occupancy rates is possible. We also work closely together with the different regional tourism associations and industry associations and are currently preparing APIs to the most relevant booking systems. During the lockdown, we focused on product development and sales and managed to convince around 40 additional leisure providers to work with Dynamaze as soon as the lockdown ends. We have a strong network with the universities in Cologne and exchange ideas with professors about our concept and receive different federal grants and top placements at various startup competitions. We have 3 founders. Jesper is mainly responsible for end customer marketing, while I'm responsible for partner acquisition and management, and Timo is responsible for the technical side of the platform. We're currently looking for an investment. We need about 250,000 euros for scaling, which will mainly go into marketing, sales, and especially technical product development. Our mission is to provide people with the perfect leisure activities and at the same time to provide leisure providers with the optimal pricing and utilization in any situation. Thank you for your attention, and now I'm more than happy to answer all your remaining questions.
Great, fantastic, Peter. Then I would give it to Ton and Uwe just to start asking your question. So yeah, when you're close, you can close the slide.
Uwe can start first.
I can start. Yeah, for me, it's
oh, 1 second. So it's just Peter, maybe just close the slide, and then we can focus on you guys.
Maybe we need a slide, but then we gotta go back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, then pull it up again. That's fine. Just put it up. Yeah, I was just thinking. When, let me know when you want to start, and then we take it forward.
Yeah. So are we starting questions now?
Yeah.
So my question is, I try to get an idea about the principle. Is it a copy of Secret Escapes business just for the leisure part, or is that not comparable, Peter?
I mean, there's definitely parallels there, but we focus on the inhabitants of the city. So we mainly offer providers that are used by inhabitants of the city, such as cinemas, spas, sport facilities, and also to some extent events. Mm-hmm. And we also have this kind of technical power to understand the occupancy rates and really only provide extra customers in the time slots, so on an hourly basis when the providers really need them. So it's really flexible.
You should really make that part in a graphic in your presentation. The presentation itself is very emotional, but I was missing this, let's say, scoping and framing of the market and the market size, and which part you are taking, and especially where you have all that information, of course, but you didn't show it. Yeah,
I'm sorry. There was very limited time, but I understand your point.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my question, can I ask the system for suggestions? Here I'm sitting with my mobile phone, and what should I do? Or do I have to have something in mind? Say, look.
Right now we are working with a kind of filter system. It's very kind of basic. So you can input where you are or where you want to do something, and then it will just show up, and there's different filter methods. You can go, for example, to maximum discount. You can select the filter of what is closest to me, But as we continue, of course, we want to also use personalized data. So when we find a profile that only books, for example, the wellness at the Claudius Therme, then of course we are going to rate it higher to increase retention bookings, and also use push notifications to do that.
Two more questions is...
we have like 18 seconds, so just a quick one, Tom.
Then just a question, and you can come up with the answer later on. I have seen no financials. So if I'm investing 250K, what do I get for it? What is your business plan? And
I have it as well here.
you go to market plan is important.
Yeah. So the financials, so right now we are currently in the lockdown. So there's some brief numbers of the phase, which refers to October 2020, which shows that we have initiated first traction on both customer sites. And we looking very promising in terms of KPIs. Right now, there's a lot of technical investments that need to be done in terms of provider website, in terms of moving to app stores, etc. But once these costs are done, it will become a very profitable business case.
Yep.
And the idea was born.
Uwe, we have to go to the next one.
Okay,
we have still some other stuff to go to, but I see already you want to ask some further questions. But yeah, thank you, Peter. Then
thank you for letting me pitch.
No problem. So I'm just removing the pins here. And then next one, we have Dustin from DueDash. Just
yeah. So let's see. So can you see my screen already?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me, obviously?
Yeah.
Excellent.
We are ready for you.
So I can just start?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so welcome. My name is Dustin. I'm one of the founders of the DueDash GmbH, and we are solving optimization challenges in fleets all over the world and in very many different fields. We are a spin-off of the Fraunhofer Institute for Algorithms and Scientific Computing, trying to bring technology of today that is available and that is usable for everyone out there dealing with fleet planning, for example, because of the following problem. I mean, the thing is, hours of manual work today are wasted, and they are wasted because of manual scheduling out there that is inefficient. So there are so many tools that are inefficient, that are on the average around 20% inefficient. And so we are wasting time to get inefficient plans. DueDash brings a solution that takes into account all the factors that are important for today's scheduling, for today's fleet planning, which is way more than short path. So we are not talking about short path optimization alone. We are having interactions between people. We are having time slots that are important. We have time windows that are important to get a specific amount of money for delivery, and that are important to deliver services. So DueDash is your individually tailored solution for fleet planning, taking into account real-time traffic, taking into account human relationships, things that people now, by combining innovative methods, modern data of interactive and interconnected technologies, and artificial intelligence. The market in general is immense. I mean, everyone dealing with fleets out there can profit by optimizing his tours. And at the same time, there's not many solutions that are easy usable. That's why we have a pricing based on a task volume and a software as a service product. All you need is a web browser. You can host the databases within your company still if you want to. We have the whole solution for you, and that's all you need, so that you can start straight away and start planning your fleet in a way that is like 2021, honestly speaking. Yeah, with all the influences that we have and with all the factors that we can take into account for an optimization that is such inefficient, because it's still done by humans, because most of the knowledge is in the mind of the disponent out there. And that's what we are focusing on. So today we've planned in the last 12 months more than 1 million orders on our platform. We are doubling plans like every month right now. And we have more than 130 planning users with our platform in the different countries of the DACH region, Spain, North America, and for many customers in very many different fields. And with our team, we are very happy, or we would be very happy to also suit your needs.
Great. I like the fact that you had your own timer. That
sure.
make it easier for me.
That's how it works, huh?
Wonderful. So then, same for you. We have again the 3 minutes for Crash Q&A.
I have a question regarding, are you applying your own technology, or is it the business model and the go-to-market, which is your idea? So are you providing technology? Or are you providing the go-to-market strategy?
No, it's the whole technology. So the spin-off contains the whole technology. It's our own code base. It's no foreign code in there. And we have this on the one hand, and our business team on the other hand, for sure, also does the go-to-market.
When you talk about fleets, you talk about vehicle fleets, not only about car fleets.
Yeah, exactly. So we are dealing with cars. We have bike profiles. We have like heavy duty bikes right now. That is a very, very important topic right now, especially in Berlin and Hamburg. They're dealing with those heavy duty bikes, and we can create profiles for all of their fleets. So that's one of the peculiarities that vendors like Google couldn't even provide, because we not only optimize the whole fleet and not a single track, but we can also deal with your vehicle types. Yeah. Right now, we even have ÖPNV, so public transport, as a new vehicle type. We have bikes, we have cars, we have electric cars, because it's our own technology. So we can do everything we can imagine.
Yeah, I like the idea very much. It's definitely very promising. And few questions. I looked at the slides which were available for me today. So also the questions are on things you have solved. Is the traffic information, does it have any influence? Because all of a sudden the Suez channel is blocked, and here are my containers, and
yeah, exactly. So
here at Meerbusch, we always have a traffic jam on the autobahn, and all of a sudden, is that?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a real-time system here, and we have all such predictions, like traffic predictions in cities. You can predict it pretty well with AI models, but still there is like the traffic jam that hasn't been predictable before, because there is like an incident on the road. And then our system can track, for example, the cars that are available in the fleet and replan the tours if possible. For example, for service fleets, that's well possible. Someone who has a hammer can work with his hammer and can take over other parts. If you're doing delivery, you cannot switch the delivery tasks, but you can switch other tasks at the same time. And if you're doing delivery of equal type, like homogeneous delivery of specific drinks or so, they can even change the task like in real time. And that's what our system is capable of. Yeah.
Quick question, how much money do you need? Did you show it on one of the slides?
No, because we are not primarily just focusing on money, but we are focusing on opportunities that we get by network, and then by what we need to fulfill this. But for us, it's very important, like which would be the domain we are focusing on and which would be the network we can open up. And then we can say like, which money do we need, for example, for a very immense app development we are right now working on, because we have a basic app to the system for sure, but we are right now really putting a lot of effort in there. So that's just honestly speaking, I'd say like, if I know which opportunities we get with a new partner, then we can say which kind of money we would need there.
The chicken and the egg problem.
Always.
Now, thank you as well, Dustin.
You're welcome.
Then let's go to the next one. I think as next one we have Simon from Rubidia.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
I don't share my screen, but I would.
Oh yeah, I just pinning you, and then I just do forward. Okay, whenever you're ready.
I would advise anybody who's viewing all the tiles to switch on.
No, you can just pin you. That's fine. When you're kind of like in the focus, so that's fine.
So you can see this.
No. Okay, please go ahead, Simon.
Okay. Well, hi, I'm Simon from Bovidia. And in video production, you generally have lots of small mistakes like wrong focus, but you also have big mistakes like this one, which some of you may be familiar with. And it's not just kind of the inefficiency and the errors that happen, but also the huge cost of video production that is a problem. Now, that's why we are developing an autonomous video production system, starting with the robot that actually moves the camera, which you can see here. So basically, we want to not just create the autonomously driving robot, as you can already see in the pilot system there, but a whole system. Because it's basically, you can think of it like a smart home, but like a smart studio for video production. So you start with the camera movement, which is the main part. And then you also start to include lighting and teleprompter operating on everything that kind of revolves around the topic of professional video production. And you get a finished video, and this saves cost, and as well as so this saves cost, is more efficient, and you have fewer human errors. Now, what our USP is that you can't just put a camera on top of a logistics robot. For autonomously driving a robot, you actually want to put in the emotion. So what differentiates a romantic scene from an action scene from a horror movie? And that's what we do. We actually put the emotion, the human way of moving, into the autonomously driving robot, which is actually what we have a patent for. And our first customers are pilot customers that you might be familiar with. NTV you saw earlier in the movie. And our whole market is basically anywhere there are professional videos produced. And we already have partners in system architects that kind of build the whole studio, and specialized dealers that just sell you the camera. Our business model is based on selling the hardware, also later on implementing our hardware, kind of the system behind it, onto the robots of other manufacturers, and then selling for further software features that kind of make up this whole smart studio that I was telling you earlier about. The market is basically the motion control market for MediaTek, as well as, because with the software features and autonomy, we of course go into labor costs as well. And what on a technical level, what we do is we combine everything, which separates us from the competition, because they can only do software and we can actually move the camera from point A to B. My colleague has 15 years experience in the media industry, has 8 years in this experience in the research department. I combine engineering know-how with business know-how, and we have a Chinese colleague who does the programming, also some scouting of technology over there. And we're looking for 500,000. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. I would give it then to you two.
Ton, would you start? Ton?
1 second. You just unmute yourself. I'm just muting you between Ton. I think it was like little sounds in between. So just,
okay.
Yeah, it takes a long time before you explain that it's all about cameras. Your first slide is, forget it, develop a new slide, because nobody knows. I think it says you all need this. Well, I don't need it. It's all about camera, automate camera and camera movement. So make it clear that those who will listen understand it right from the beginning. In your presentation at one time, at least the one I have, is think hardware. You make it very complex, and your task should be to make it very simple. it's your pitch and your presentation is too technical. Nobody understands it. Yeah, if you sell to a customer, they will understand it. And also the go-to-market plan, the business plan, and the financial plan is something you have to work on. You're all techies. Find a marketing person to help you with that. That's it. Because
I have to make that a little bit more relative. Basically, everything you told us was absolutely clear to me because I worked in this industry for many years. So what I did not understand, are you creating your own value stream, or are you part of a value stream of a bigger organization, which could be a company like Avid or Microsoft, who are let's say covering the complete umbrella for all tech, for the complete digital chain from the playground to the TV station, or to the flat screen, basically. That where do you locate yourself in the value stream? Because you have an opportunity to be a dominating niche player with special skills on technology, or you have to open yourself in the way that Ton just described and explain where your value adds in a value chain that is already existing.
Yeah. Shall I answer? Or?
Go.
So I think there are a lot of big players on the market already that aren't in competition with us. So for example, Ari, the leading manufacturer of professional video cameras, is a partner of ours on a technical level, because we can integrate the camera. And so for any big players that are no competition to us, we integrate into our system to kind of work with them, with the cameras, with the lighting, and also with the software, as you mentioned, Avid. So I think there are a lot of connection, a lot of interface points where we can work with each other. When it comes to the big players that are actually in competition with us, where you say, okay, Sony actually also has the potential to do autonomous robot systems. They have limitations in what they actually do, which is what I tried to show earlier with the slide, is that they are when it comes to autonomy, they only work on a software basis. And what we can actually provide is the hardware to actually make it more capable and actually have robots that can go from A to B, which they can't. And so our first approach is now to say, okay, we develop our own robots, because most of them, which is not just a problem here, it's generally that people don't understand the technology, even if they work with the technology, because it's so, when it comes down to it, it's really deep tech. And so to show that we can actually do it, we will develop our own robots. In the later on stage, we intend to supply the hardware system to other manufacturers when they've caught on and said, oh, that's actually a good idea, we can actually do that. So that we can kind of work also with Sony and Canon and Nikon, who also have similar systems.
Thank you, Simon, as well. Then take advantage as the next pitching startup would be My Shoe Fitter.
Everyone.
Hello. You can share your screen and then we start.
Yes. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Frederick, the co-founder and CMO of My Shoe Fitter, and now I'm going to show you how we will revolutionize the e-commerce market for shoes. So there's no uniform shoe size globally. That leads to a lot of problems. The main problems are returns. 50% of all online ordered shoes are returned, and 75% of that because the shoes don't fit. That leads to around 750 million pairs of shoes which are returned every year. For example, in Germany, an average return costs 15 euro. So 15 euro times 750 million, you can imagine there are billions of euros which are wasted every year. And also the environment suffers from all the environmental pollution which is related to the returns. So the solution, obviously, we have it, and we call it solution My Shoe Fitter. And My Shoe Fitter is a science-based biometric foot measurement technology for smartphones and tablets, which we have developed in close cooperation with the Fraunhofer Institute. And with our application, customers of online stores can measure the feet with millimeter accuracy to determine their perfectly fitting shoe size, which is based on the inner shoe measurements. The result, easy peasy, the shoes will fit for 100%, every shoe which is ordered online. So, to our value proposition, with our technology, online stores can save up to 75% of their return costs, or return quote, 10% of their total costs, and with customers who can buy shoes online, like in a stationary shoe store, they can increase their conversions on up to 25%. Also, the environment which suffers, it can be safe with every return we prevent. 500 grams of CO2 emission, packaging waste, and destruction of goods is prevented. Now, our front end is easy and intuitive to use, but our back end is more kind of a rocket science. So my shoe fitter consists about 2 key technologies. The first one are image evaluation algorithms, and the second one is supervised deep learning. And in this combination, we can get a pretty high accuracy of up to 99.2%. And that's pretty cool, actually, and worldwide unique. We can be implemented into any online store. And of course, they have to pay a license fee for that. To put it in a nutshell, that's our business model. And now I come to the hard facts, which you're all interested in. So the global online shoe market is huge, 90 billion euros, and it's just fast growing pretty fast. And our total addressable market is 1.7 billion euro. So for the service obtainable market, you definitely have to sign an NDA, but if you're interested, let me know. Then we can talk about our numbers. And lastly, I want to show you our milestones. The origin of the idea of my shoe fitter was in 2017. 2018, we developed a beta version. 2019, A/B testing with Birkenstock and live testing with Love Magenta. Last year, we founded our company, got an exclusive license contract with the Fraunhofer, a pre-seed investment, and this year we are going to prove our concept and we will roll it out. And next year, we want to scale our business. So, and to reach our goals, you need a cool team.
You have to come to an end.
This is my shoe fitter team, and that's all from me. Thank you.
Great.
Excellent presentation. Question, have I seen a competitor of you or you already on Instagram the other day?
Which one? There are some competitors. Which one have you seen?
No, I don't remember the name. I will find out and send it to you. Are you already in the market? You're already in the market. And you're making.
We are going to launch pretty soon in around 2 or 3 weeks. But what I have to say, we don't have a pretty close competitor because our technology or our technological approach, how we try to prevent returns, is unique. So there are some size guides, but their size recommendation is based only on artificial intelligence. So they use other shoe inner measurements to compare it, but it's not accurate enough. And we combine optical measurement or biometric optical measurement with artificial intelligence, and that's why we can reach such a high accuracy with the shoe foot size.
Okay, and why only shoes?
We're already planning to expand the body parts, but first of all, we want to play it safe. So if we can do it with shoes for 100%, cool. We can switch on other body parts, for example, hands or for heads, etc. But first of all, the shoe market is huge. So 90 billion euros, that's a huge potential for us. And we want to focus and we want to reach our goals first in the shoe market. Yeah.
One further question.
All right, then I have a few questions. The whole issue is that the customer is unhappy and insecure. You know, I would never order shoes online. And your mission, or one of your slides is a mission statement, and I would rethink it: buy your shoes online which fit 100%. and you added something like sustainable behind it, and forget the word sustainable because it's used from toilet paper
The most
up
important
to
buzzword.
shoes. Forget about it. It's your go-to-market plan is kind of unclear. Is my size stored on my computer so I can go to one store and say, here it is? Or do I have to do it all over again if I go from the one store to the other store?
Okay, it depends on when you are coming from the desktop version. So you are shopping on the desktop. You only have to scan an QR code with our app. And if you already had done a photo of your foot and you have your foot measurements, you don't have to do it again. So just scan the QR code and the size automatically applies. You come from the mobile version, it's kind of the same, but without scanning the QR code. You just press on the My Schuhfitter button in the store. You get forwarded to our app, and then you already have the correct shoe size.
That's very good.
And thank you, Frederick. We have to go to the next one, Ton.
You don't need money, do you?
Yeah, we could need money, yes. But more important is like the network of.
Great.
I didn't get the answer. The more important than money is what? Luck.
A good network. Actually, we are fun, and we think we can finance our business with the cash flow. But more important would be a good investor, which, like for example, some contacts in the shoe industry, etc., or in the retail. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then, thank you, Frederick. And we go to Dental Health.
Hi, yeah, let's have a look if the presentation works.
Should be.
So let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great, then let's start. I'm happy to present to you Dental Health, or Dental Hero, and our vision to become the Amazon of the dental world. So let's have a look at the German dental market. It's actually a super interesting niche because we have 4 main players, one being the manufacturers, the suppliers, and the customers, which consist of dentists and dental labs. And even though these players generate lots of data by selling and buying their products, this data is not stored, and there's a huge lack of digitalization. They have a huge lack of interfaces. So, for example, manufacturers sometimes don't even know which suppliers sell their products and for which prices. At the same time, dentists are in a huge jungle of prices when they search for products because the same 10, 20, 30 suppliers can sell the same product for different prices. So what we want to do is to connect all the dots, and therefore we launched the marketplace Dental Health. And what Dental Health does is basically to connect all the customers. And for example, a dentist can come on our site. They can just search for the product. As you can see, there are 16 different suppliers for this product. They can just put it in the basket. And we have added some really smart algorithms to our basket, which actually helps the dentist to search for the cheapest prices or the fastest delivery. So we just see from which suppliers the product should be ordered. And obviously, we also added stuff like APIs to make it, more digital. And this whole process has been quite successful. It took us around 14 months to generate the first 1 million euros for our suppliers. And we are getting a commission on the suppliers' revenue on our website. The customers don't have to pay anything extra. What we want to do next is obviously grow the platform and make sure we have even more players on the platform to connect. And we want to use the data to develop tools for the market. The market is pretty big, even though it's a niche, 1.6 billion euros of market volume only for dental consumables in Germany. And we can also easily expand within Europe, which is quite a big market. But as I said, there's a data lag, so we don't know exactly how big the market is. We are pretty strong in our network. We've already been able to network with several suppliers, manufacturers, and so on and so forth, which also helps us to get even more players on our website and our marketplace. And here's our team. Max is one of the founders, as am I. He is a dentist himself. He had the idea for Dental Health. My background as business administration and law. We have Mark, who developed the website all by himself, and Tina, who worked for several years in the PR industry and helped us to establish our brand, even though we didn't spend a lot on marketing and so on. And yeah, I'm pretty happy to answer all your questions.
Great. Then, as before, I would give it to Uwe and Ton.
Yes, you are acting as a platform in the B2B area.
It's
There's no
B2B2B. Yes,
B2B2B.
exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, we're onboarding the suppliers and manufacturers. Although one must say, in the dental area, manufacturers rarely sell the products themselves. They all have contracts with the suppliers.
Mhm.
So the suppliers are onboarded on our marketplace, and then the customers come and buy the products.
Mhm. And why do you aim for the internationalization of the business? Is that the way of growing, or is that why don't you, let's say, dominate the national market first before you do the internationalization? While the question is the sequence of steps in your development path. Yeah.
That's a great question. So you're right, we want to establish a bigger brand first in the German market, and then it will be easier to expand to the European market. All in all, you must say, most of the suppliers and also manufacturers work on the European market anyways, and mostly even globally. But our first aim will be to establish ourselves in Germany, then go out into the European market, and then let's see. But we already have customers who are questioning or like asking us to get the goods out into the Netherlands, Austria, etc. And also some of our suppliers already asked whether we want to establish our brand within Scandinavia, for example, because they want to act there as well, and they want to have the data of their competitors, of course. And yeah, so once we have a stronger brand here in Germany, we will be able to get out internationally quite easily.
So you maintain international customers, and they are not able. So you do it in a German language, is that right? Or do you have an
Yeah,
English?
that's what's super interesting for us, because our whole website is in German, and actually you cannot register if you're out from Germany. So you have to register because we only deliver goods to dentists or like other businesses. But people still try to register themselves with like an international address, but just put German on there. And yeah, we have to tell them, and unfortunately, we cannot deliver outside of Germany currently.
Why not?
Because it's quite tricky with the delivery fees. So it's difficult to put it on a website because each supplier has a different regulation for how the delivery fees are calculated. Sometimes it's weight-based, sometimes it, just basic fees,
Distance-based whatsoever,
yeah. And that's something that's, again, it's a data lack. It's really hard to get this data centralized, and that's what we're working on. And once we have that in place, we can get out internationally.
Thank you, Eugenio.
Yeah, how do you going to sell? You have 42,000 bloody dentists, which we all hate. How are you going to sell to them? Because digitization is 0 plus with the dentists.
Yeah, that's true. They're getting it. They started getting it. So first, what we started was getting into all the printed magazines in the dental market. With this, PR helped a lot. And we went to the one of the biggest fairs in Cologne in 2019, where we already could manage to meet lots of dentists and dental assistants. But what is also pretty interesting is that actually dentists start to Google if they search for products. Okay. And we have a really strong SEO and SEA, and this helps a lot. And what really helps is that by now around 10% of the customers we gain are coming by recommendations, which also shows us that we have a strong brand, and it's quite easy. Like, I would say it's quite easy, but it's really interesting how easy it's sometimes to develop this commitment to the customers, because if customers are calling us and we miss the call, we call them back, and then they're like completely surprised, like, you're calling us back? Never happened. Like what's happening here? So there's such a lack of service in this industry that we're still able to make some points, but just being nice, being forward to just come back to the customers.
Great.
So,
So I think we have to go
question.
further. We have to go further, Ton. We already was a bit further, but
How much
you can ask
money do you
later
need?
questions.
How much money do you need? Nobody talks
Ton,
about
drop
money.
me a message.
That can be for the next meeting, Ton, right?
Thanks a lot.
1 second. Then let's go to our next pitching startup, which is Dabless.
Mhm.
1 second, Jay, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to set my timer because I'm also coming around with my own timer as well.
Great.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Jay, and I'd like to quickly introduce you to the social media app Dabless. I think first off, we can all agree that there's something going wrong with social media, right? So there's a lot of hate speech and cyberbullying. There have been reports that it has negative effects on mental health. And also creators who basically make the platform great often don't even profit from doing so. Of course, in a perfect world, all this would look different. Platforms would actually care about the well-being of their users. There would be less hate, and creators would be valued for the content they put forward. But we think this shouldn't just be some utopian idea. This should be reality. And that's why we've created Dabless. So first off, Dabless has a responsible community concept, which means we are invite only, and the person who invites someone vouches for them. Furthermore, all the vanity metrics like counts, for example, are completely optional, which means you can just turn them off. And last but not least, we are actually offering content creators ways to monetize, for example, via premium memberships. We are mainly addressing young people in North America and Europe, and you can imagine them to be a little bit like this. They want everything on demand, family and friends, entertainment, everything on demand. On the other hand, there's the creator. They just want to be creative, but they also want to gain some fans and fame and maybe some extra dollars in their pocket. We are looking to address around 300 million users until 2027, so there's still some time until that. And around that time, we will have 3 million people supporting creators as well. We have some competitors, which you already might know, like Facebook and others, but none of them really quite is positioned the way we are. And we simply have concepts like our responsible community that can't be easily reproduced. So how are we making money with this? Well, first off, we are a free social media app, but we do offer some monetization features and can get 10 to 15% per every transaction there. Also, we are selling ad space later on, and that will honestly bring in the main dollars along the way. We are mainly marketing to and through influencers because we want to get them and their content on our platform, as well as their fan base. We're uniquely positioned for this because we have a lot of experience in this field. My two co-founders are experienced app developers. They're both successfully self-employed since a couple of years, while I was a former content creator, bring on the UI and UX and also the marketing part. And I have been a project lead in some major tech projects along the way. We're currently looking for 1.5 million for the Dabless 2.0 launch with live streaming and the web app along the way. We're looking to hire some cool people in marketing, support, and IT, have a nice influencer campaign, and hit our 1 million user milestone along the way. And now I'm open for your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, Ton and Uwe.
Thank you very much. The idea is very promising. I think you will have to put a lot of emotion in selling your product. And so you can have additional customer groups attracted to the social media platform because it's a market with a lot of competition, of course. I'm still missing a kind of go-to-market and sales plan, how you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. and you are asking for a lot of money, 1.5 million. That is not something you will going to find with business angels, because that's a lot of money. So you either have to face it and say, you know, we start with small amounts of money, and step by step we will ask for more money, or you have to find VCs which are willing to finance it, because it's a risky but I think very attractive business.
Okay, thank you.
And you mentioned how much money you want to. Bye.
Yeah, but I always thought the piece to swallow is too big for a business angel. You should tailor your demands on cash or in tranches and put that along the development path of your company.
Yep.
Make it a convincing argument. And you have to really explain for what you want to use the money. And because what you're describing here is more or less the influencer campaign is the only forward-oriented route. Use the first million user milestone, fine. But the rest is infrastructure. That should be you should explain what you spend on the first 2 bullet points and what you spend on the last 2 bullet points. To make it really clear. But I know you don't have the time to explain. Perhaps you could explain, but this is something I would recommend you to, let's say, put it in slices that are digestible and not in this way.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, then I guess we continue on. Thank you as well, Jay. And then we have, lastly, but not least, we have WeSpot.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
I see a lot of happy people sitting in the conference room.
Perfect. Yeah. So hello, everyone, and thank you very much for having me. My name is Benedict, and I'm the co-founder and managing director of WeSpot, a young B2B software as a service startup from the Cologne area. And I'm really happy to present WeSpot to you today. During the last year, there have been many changes in the way we work. They all led to one big problem. Managing a team nowadays is harder than ever. But what are these changes exactly? The way we work changed rapidly. Most of the employees are working from home, and remote work is here to stay. It is harder than ever for leadership to communicate efficiently with their teams without actually micromanaging and while still focusing on meaningful progress. But how do we help here? With the help of WeSpot, leadership can gain valuable insights into their team and tackle problems before they occur. With weekly reviews, smart surveys, and the help of artificial intelligence, team performance can be increased in the long term while keeping employees motivated and engaged. Therefore, continuous feedback can be leveraged. But how do we plan on making money? As mentioned at the beginning, we are a software as a service company, and we have a team-based pricing. Therefore, WeSpot can be easily implemented in single teams and does not need to be rolled out in an entire entity. But let's talk some numbers and see if there's actually a market for such a tool. The market potential is huge. Roughly 557 million euros are spent yearly in digital collaboration software only in Germany, and the market is expected to grow with a compounded annual growth rate of 6.7% during the next couple of years. It is important to keep in mind that these numbers are pre-COVID, and therefore the market potential is expected to be even bigger. Furthermore, it is scientifically proven that employees' productivity increases by up to 20% when they are happy and honest feedback is encouraged. This, of course, leads to serious cost savings for management due to higher retentions and more work output. It's good to have a big market, but how do we actually get there? As first, we started with personal sales and leveraged our network. Furthermore, we are currently building strategic partnerships with consultancies in order to win new customers. Our long-term goal, of course, is to build a product that people love and talk about. But what is the team behind WeSpot? We know that we cannot do everything alone. That's why we have built up a small team that supports us on our mission. The founding team consists of Luis Morgner and myself. David has been with us since the beginning and works on our product development. Furthermore, Robert joined us last summer to support us in the business development area. Additionally, we have developed partnerships with consultancies and grew a network of advisors that consists of executives and former executives in order to only solve problems that really matter. We're excited to build the future of work and to provide ambitious team leaders with a magic weapon that allows them to thrive in today's business climate. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And if you want to get in touch, feel free to contact me under the details on the next slide.
Great. Thank you, Benedict. Now let's go again to our jury members.
Yes, I can start. You haven't put your number on the screen. How much is it that you want to see, and for what reason?
We're currently focusing on raising 50K, but we are really focusing on smart money, which actually gets us more benefit than only the money, as we're wanting to take the last step towards the product market fit and afterwards focus on the scaling. And what I haven't mentioned, we're an English company, so we started, our product is completely in English, and therefore we have our first users across several countries and not only in Germany.
Okay, if I may ask a question. I looked at Capterra. They are a software platform where you can look which software solutions there are. In that category, collaboration, there are 921 products. And I have heard no argumentation, sorry that I'm very open, is what your product is and what the benefits are in comparison to other available solutions. Why do I have, what's your value proposition for me? And I've managed over 400 people, so I know the issue a little bit.
So the main problem currently, collaboration software, of course, is a really broad term. So Trello, for example, would be included in this as well, even though it completely targets a different purpose. So our value proposition is to get actually valuable feedback by the employees and build the connection even with the remote settings. So leadership can get insights on a weekly basis, and furthermore see trends on how certain topics and how the feelings of the employees, for example, develop. And with the help of artificial intelligence, the problems can already be tackled before they occur, and this can save costs, of course, in the long term.
I understand your point, and I think your business idea is very valuable, and I haven't identified yet the spot where you will, let's say, generate the advantage for your customers, because I know that I have, let's say, more than 30 years experience. A fool with a tool is still a fool. If the leaders don't accept that tool as an added value to their current skill mix, it will not be successful. The key to open their willingness to use such a tool will be the driver of your business, basically. Yeah. Have you thought about it, or have you answers to that question?
Yes, so really good question. So of course, you're right, a tool doesn't solve any problems, just the tool itself. So therefore, what we actually did is we built, for example, a question library with different aspects on leaderships to make it easy for leadership to use the tool and get some inspiration there, which we worked out together with consultants and also those network of advisors, which I mentioned earlier. So therefore, that we really make it a round process and not only give the tool at hand.
Then, thank you as well, Benedict. Now, to come to kind of like to the end point, how are we going to do this as a next step? Very simple. Ton and Uwe, I will just send them to a breakout room for like a short amount of time. And there then we can just decide who was kind of like the best pitch, like the second best, the third one. And afterwards we'll come back. I will tell you for the others in a second what we do in the minutes while we wait. I'm just setting up very quickly the breakout room for them so that they can get in. Give me a second and then we take it from where. And Tom.
You're setting up, right?
Yeah, I'm just assigning you to the room. And then you get like the notification. Please just jump into that. Perfect. Great. Yeah, just jump into that. And for the other ones, while we wait, just what you can do, because it's a pitching PowWow as this nice session to go about. What could be nice is maybe that we go through each of the pitches and just ask, like, how do you prepare for a pitching event like this? And how do you meet investors? I think that can be also valuable for the other founders here to learn from. And maybe we start with, that's fine with you, Petur, as like the first startup, just like, how did you prepare for this? And how do you usually meet investors?
Well, I think the most challenging part about this specific event was the short time. So I'm not very used to pitch in 3 minutes. I think 5 minutes is more of my kind of comfort zone, because I feel like you have these different aspects. It was also mentioned in the Q&A, the financials, maybe some numbers from the first month of entering the market. So I think if you really cut it down, you have to make very kind of important choices into how do you want to present the startup. So which dimensions or aspects you really want to talk about, and which ones you kind of leave out, because I think it's nearly impossible to fully present the whole startup in 3 minutes. So I just did that, came up with a pitch that I thought was overall pretty round, and then tried to cut it down to 3 minutes. And to the other question, mostly we try to get intros to investors. I think that's really important. Not to we don't really prefer to just cold mail or call investors. We think that's or in our kind of experience, a pretty low conversion rate. So try to get intros from within the network, and before try to find the good fits to not waste any contacts.
Yeah, thank you, Petur. Could be interesting. Yeah, let's just go for the other ones quickly and just see. I think Dustin, maybe you want to go next one and just share with us about you, if you're still available, or maybe some technical things. Otherwise,
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry, I've got the wrong button here.
No problem.
Yeah, so honestly speaking, and I know most people don't want to hear that, I really don't prepare for pitches in general. So because it's often so important to see who's in the room, who's on the other side of the channel. So I want to shape the story in the moment it kind of exists and it begins. But for sure, all the things like getting the slides right, getting to know which people will be there. Is it investors? Is it angel investors? Is it VCs? I think it's super important to know who is probably the one who is there. And it's at the same time, for me personally, super important not to focus too much on a story that I have in mind before I go there. So I know that that's not the things most people want to hear, because you want to know, hey, there's a strict plan and I need this timeline and then it works. But for me, it normally works best if I don't have too much of a plan before.
No problem. Yeah. Simon, what about you?
Yeah, so for us, I think we have a core pitch that we also adjust. Just like Peter also said, 3 minutes is not very something we're used to. So of course we also have to kind of shift it a little bit, make sure that what's inside the main 3 minutes is important. But we're also always kind of growing with every experience. So for example, the way we presented today is the first time we pitched so we learn our mistakes. Like for example, the critique that he had was, you need this, and he said, but I don't need it. But what you couldn't see underneath, which I enlarged now a little bit, maybe you can see it now, is that it was actually a quote from the CEO of ProSiebenSat.1. So it's not something you as a listener need this, but this is actually something, a quote from the media tech industry, so to kind of boost us up. When it comes to looking for investors, I mean, we attend every pitch possible. But for us as a hardware startup, we realized that hardware is very much a world of its own because of all the kind of different dynamics due to having lots of capital intensive things, because you of course need to produce something because you can sell before you can sell it. Unlike a software, we can just say, hey, I produce 100 or 1,000, it doesn't matter. There's no cost involved in producing more. So we are actually going the long, hard route of organizing our own matchmaking event just for hardware startups, which is very much in the way of saying, okay, if Mohammed doesn't come to the mountain, then we have to bring the mountain to Mohammed. And so we are.
That's a nice way of putting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you also. Then I would say, Frederick, you want to share some quick thoughts?
Yes, for me, a 3-minute pitch isn't the problem. The problem is pitching in a digital way, because if you want to get an investment by an investor, the investor needs to feel your spirit. So they don't care about your idea or about things. They want to see their investment, how much money they can get back, and of course they need to trust you, and you can't how to translate this. It's difficult for someone to show you as a trustworthy opponent, and so yeah, that's why I hope that the digital pitching season is over soon and we can meet in normal life again.
Nice. Yeah, thank you yourself, Frederick. Eugenia?
Well, I can agree with lots of points that been said. First of all, for me, it's always important to figure out whom I'm pitching to, like what kind of background the people have, because I will definitely pitch dental health in a completely different way if I would pitch it for someone within the dental market than I do for someone who doesn't know how the market works. So that's definitely a point. Also, yeah, putting everything in 3 minutes, as been said, is quite challenging. For myself, I always have to remind myself not to talk too fast because I can double it up at least. And that can be really tricky. In regards to investors, I think it's super important to figure out what you are actually looking for, whether it's just money kind of, whether it's a network, whether it's kind of both. And what you actually want. Like for us, we're not pitching normally on these kinds of events because we're not looking for like 5, 6, 7 business angels with small amounts of money. We normally talk with people who are able to invest by themselves, or maybe like 2 persons who have the network and they know how we might be looking for. But we have this nice situation that we're bootstrapping and we're quite picky about it. So yeah, it always depends on the personal situation of every startup and the founders.
And yeah, thank you, so Eugenia. Then I think we have 2 more. Jay, maybe you also want to share.
Yeah, I think I can also agree with a lot of what has already been said. Like, for example, if I'm pitching Dapeless to a creator that I want to get on board, probably not going to be too much interested about like what we offer to the normal consumer, but they probably want to know more about how we serve the creator community. So it's really a lot about who are you pitching to specifically, like broadening this into more like investors right now, but also with investors or generally, you always have to take into consideration their knowledge. Because when I'm pitching to someone who is like 100% techie, that person wants to know something completely different than when I'm pitching to someone who's very experienced in marketing, for example. And that's something you always have to take into consideration and always tweak your pitch, kind of like you would a job application pitch to tweak in regards to the company you're applying to, for example. And also I specifically have different pitches for different occasions, like, is it a pitch that I'm sending out without having me talk to it? Then there's a lot more text. But if I'm just pitching and it's just in the background, presentation is background, I'm talking to it, then I put a lot less words on it. So people focus on what I'm saying and don't try to read like 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences on the slides. That's just what I have personally experienced. Maybe someone has a different opinion on that. And yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, also. Then I would say just Benedict, maybe you go last, and then we're going to talk about the final ratings.
Yes, I can also only agree. I think the biggest change is always to wrap it up in 3 minutes, but it's also a challenge. And if you once have a 3-minute pitch ready, I think it's it's easy to do it again. And when it comes to meeting investors, actually, I think, as the others mentioned, introductions is probably the best way of getting a meeting and getting the pitch. And also you get some really valuable feedback and honest feedback from it. And also what I can only recommend from the last couple of months are just events, which include speed networking, for example. I think that's also a nice way to get to know new people and new investors as well.
Yeah, thank you, Benedict. Now, before we come to our jury members and their rating, we also did like a quick polling from all the attendees, which startups you liked. So I'm going to do the same, like say the third best pitch, the second, and the most liked. And let's start with number 3. And number 3 from the audience side, that's Adutabyte. So congrats to that, to the third audience award. For the second and the third, Dustin, yeah, congrats on that. And then for the second and the first, we actually have a tie. Very interesting. It is My Shoe Fitter and Dental Health.
Wow, that's cool.
Now,
Thank you.
I would give it now to Ton and Uwe. I'm just putting then. Where do we have Uwe here? And Ton, yeah.
Yes.
Got you both here. Perfect. So I would give it to you for the final ratings.
Fine. Yeah, Tom, do you want me to start? Yes, probably. Okay. So we were in really. It was surprising how close we were in our, let's say, evaluation and assessment of the presentations, depending on our different backgrounds. Of course, one or 2 points we were off from each other. But finally, we were really convinced about all the presentations given. So thank you very much for the presentations. And most of the comments basically were made through our questions during the presentations. In summary, I would say, take the notes you have we gave to you and use that as an info to tailor and reshape your information that you send to investors. I personally would like to, let's say, follow up on the, what's the name of the company again? Adutabyte, right? In a personal relationship with the founders, because I see a lot of, let's say, with a lot of perspective, I see chances to work together. I would really like that you get in contact with me and we follow up on a more private session. For the others, I was really impressed by dental health, and I'm questioning you if you want to go on the internationalization before you do, let's say, have a proof of concept in one country. Think about it, because the internationalization brings you to a challenge which is not easy to handle. I went through that process. If rather open a permanent establishment in the other country to make your business of the context that you have and start going into the fully fledged marketing penetration of other countries. Maybe it's just a recommendation. Yeah,
Good
look
point.
at that.
Well, yeah.
So
thanks.
That's my take. I would now hand over to Tom. Tom.
Thank you. Yes, I'm on. The interesting thing is that we do not differ from the general audience in our total ranking, which is surprising. So the audience is extremely good because they think the same way as we do. I think everybody did an excellent presentation. When I look back, let's say about 5-10 years ago, how the pitches were done and how the information was presented, you have improved tremendously. Compliments for that. Some very interesting business ideas. The favorites are the third place for us is idea to bite, then shoe fitter is two. That shoe fits really good. And despite the fact that I don't like dental dentists, I think that dental health is a very interesting issue. If you want to have any advice on later on internationalization, I was responsible for many subsidiaries, and I had 65 export countries all over the world. So I can tell you, I've made all the mistakes. If you want a list of the mistakes, then if you just don't repeat it, then I've done a few things right. So that's an offer I have to everybody. If you want to have some advice, we can always set up a Zoom session. That's the good thing about it. And there are one thing I'm very honest. WeSpond is a hot issue. Excuse me, and they have to. I don't see, to be quite honest, I don't see a market for you, because there are so many other systems in place. Dynamize and Rovidia and Dayblitz, they have quite a good potential, but still a lot of work to do. And I think we've mentioned most arguments already. And if you want to have more feedback, we can gladly do it. Is there anything more we need to say?
Marcus, you wanted to say something, I think.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Uwe, for your feedback. To summarize, what they actually have concluded was that they were giving the third place to Adjuta Byte, the second place to My Shoe Fitter, and the first place to Dental Health. So congratulations, all of you. You know, the pitching PowWow is all about getting the wow, and the wow means you got a 5 as a rating. Unfortunately, none of you today was able to get the 5. You were very, very close. But as you could hear also from Uwe's mentioning, and that's what I kind of put into the chat here as well, you were almost getting the wow here. There was like minor tweaks missing. However, as you can see, they started offering you to get in touch. So make use of that opportunity, because that's what the pitching PowWow is there for. Pitching to real-world investors, and not just talking about a feedback, but actually getting a second meeting with an investor and looking for the funding that you're seeking for. So happy and thank you all for pitching today. Thank you, Uwe and Tom. And for closing the session, I just quickly give the word to Michael.
Yeah. Then just putting myself in the pin. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining the session. I hope you definitely liked it. Hope you could learn something from that. And we already have planned the next session, which will be on the 11th of May. The jury members we will announce shortly. So looking forward to that next section with new startups. If you know any startups, any founders who would like to pitch, you can send them our way. We're happy to welcome them in our next session. Otherwise, as Marcus already said, do the follow-ups, take the learnings from it, right? And if you need further support, further insights, the DueDash team is happy to help and also discuss with you anything else you need on the topic of fundraising and investments. And with that, I would close the session. And again, thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.